Secure. I had doubt, worry, fear. I was in a fallen state and didn't know it. And it wasn't until I went and forgave my mother who tried to turn me away from my father. I forgave my father for not being there and returned back to him. My spirit connected with his spirit, and through him, I was able to return to God. And I have perfect peace. Perfect love casts out anger. And when anger is gone, fear and doubt, worry, insecurity, suicidal thoughts, all of that is gone, and you are free. Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, or if you want an autographed copy, you can go to my website at rebuildingtheman.com or call 800-411-BOND. You can't run from evil within yourself or outside of self. You got to deal with it, and you need good in order to deal with evil, and God is good. You need to return to the Father. And you'll see within you, he will fight the battle for you. And he will fight it without, because he will show you how to deal with it. And you will have no fear. Love God with all your heart, all your soul, all your might, along with nothing else. Nothing else means yourself, your children, your wife, your things, your ego, your reputation, and all that. You can't care about any of that. The children of anger will use it to control you. But if you love God, he will renew your mind, and none of those things will be before him. And so when they go after you, oh, well, you may take my body, you may take my things, but you're not going to take my soul. And that's a true reality.
You know, I'm 32 years old now, and I've been clinically depressed since I was 17 years old. And ever since I started listening to you a couple of months ago, bro, I don't even need to hear the word depression. I don't even care about that, because that's not anything that I identify with anymore.
Nice.
I'm 100% cured. I'm 100% better because I've been listening to the Jesse Lee Peterson show, and I can't even begin to tell you how much I appreciate you. And I just can't even, begin to tell you how much I really appreciate the things that you're doing for young men. Young men need to hear this. And young men need to know this message that you're delivering, because it's important. It's vital to their lives, Jesse. I just wanted to let you know that, man.
That's amazing. I mean, you made my day, man. When I hear one soul has returned to the Father, it's like 1,000. It's better than silver and gold. So God bless you, man. Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home. That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby. He's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room.
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border, and then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on American soil. So he became the anchor baby. They don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, I'm the American Anchor Baby, and this is my show. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, on this fine Wednesday. What a fine Wednesday it is to be back with you today. I got a bit of a show for you. They say the major news? Not they say, but I'm just saying. The major news is what they're calling a U-turn. They're calling a U-turn. Look, a pause is being announced on some of these tariffs, but the details we'll be getting into is the point, okay? We'll be getting into the details, what's exactly going on. They're saying a 90-day pause. Stocks have done a U-turn and are surging, and I'm cautious about the certain types of people getting happy about this, getting too excited. Oh my God, the stocks are going up. So I'm cautious about that. The details about everything, we'll get into it on this 9-day pause. You know, this economic stuff and the politics and all that. Lately, with the tariffs, has been sincerely interesting, exciting in that, and transformative for what is possible and what's happening. So I definitely have no problem with it. I'd like to see you go hardcore on it. We'll get into the details about this pause. So we'll get into all that. There's really a number of things to get into today. We'll be getting into this, a little bit of that. We got a whole show for you, okay? We got a whole darn show for you. If you want to call in, you got something on your mind, comment on something, you're whatever, 888-775-3773. You could call in, get on hold. I will be getting to calls today as well. We'll be doing calls. So what else here? I'm live on punchy.tv. Make an account on punchy.tv, as well as rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. Live there as well. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for showing love. Shout out to the supporters. And dlive.tv at YouTube. So thanks, everybody, where you're watching. Make sure you hit the like, click subscribe, leave a little comment, okay? You don't like what you want, something, leave a comment. I definitely read them all. And don't be rude. Just jump into the chat. Say hello. You're sitting there. We all saw you come in. You're not saying anything. You're in your head. You're tripping, or you're better. You're like, oh, I'm just here to have the snacks. I'm just here to have some snacks, okay, and talk my mess. Well, then, if that's you, click the like button. That's enough. That warrants enough for a like button. So, everybody, welcome. What else here? That's all the housekeeping. That's all the housekeeping. So, we'll get into it here. What else? Sweating. See, look. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm, in fact, not sweating at all. I have, in fact, my relationship with sweat has changed. Maybe I'll tell you about that one day. But look, you're talking about sweaty. I'm wondering if you're thinking the hair is greasy or something. And I'm realizing since I've been rocking the swarthy curls, I'm noticing a whole bunch of, quite frankly, racism in the chat. You guys are uneducated, bigoted trolls. It's not grease. You guys clearly don't understand the curl tech, the science behind the curls. You clearly don't understand ethnic hair. See, and it's so difficult for me. It's like, I don't know how it's gonna dry. I'm clean. I'm not smelly. The hair's clean. And you don't know how it's going to dry. If it dries a certain way, it looks crispy. And it's not grease. I don't know how to explain it. Where are my curly people at? Tell them, please. Because I'm feeling like I need the Crown Act. You remember that? You remember the Crown Act? Remember when they were like, we need to have legislation to protect black people in the workplace because they're telling them to comb your hair. And it's like, what? Don't you know I have different hair? It's different standards. You clearly don't understand ethnic hair. And I need the power of the government and the state behind me. Because you don't understand. So it's not greasy. It's not greasy. I just don't understand them. The curls. You know what's funny about that though? There is you honestly could tell me to comb my hair in a sense. Not every day, but sometimes it's like wild. And that's a little bit of not understanding the curls, a little bit of like, I should work harder to understand the curls because I'm at a workplace. So, maybe I don't need the Crown Act. Maybe just gotta grow up. Maybe I just need a silk do-rag. That is when I need a silk do-rag so that I could come in work ready. Curl tech, crispy curl ready, smooth, camera ready, silk do-rags. Isn't that how some black people keep their hair ready for when they wake up? Because, it takes some work. They don't understand us. So I get you on that. I don't understand the work it takes. And so you put on the do-rag. Am I wrong about this? I think I might need one. But if I just start doing that, I'm going to start caring about my hair way too much. You know, that's that's something I see in the black community. It's this like care of appearance. How do I put this? No. There's like a normal caring about that. Looking good, looking work ready. Look at how Joel and Derek dress. But then there's like, how do I put this? You ever seen this stuff where it's like maybe somewhat feminine, just a particular care. I'm gonna wear a bonnet all night. I gotta look good in the morning, right? There's something there. That's the mama in you impressing the woman the way the woman impresses the man. That's your mama in you, maybe. Something actually, I think Jesse actually wrote that in his book. Now I'm remembering. It was either in The Antidote or somewhere. That's where that stuck from, by the way. The young black men attracting black women in the way that mamas do. With clothes, with appearance, and all that. So anyways, do-rag or not, I'll let you know what I do there. Because you need to know. You need to know, but I want to move on from all that. Mama, it's called Mama Spirit. Carver knows what I'm talking about. We actually can't move on from Mama Spirit. Concerning the do-rag and the Crown Act, we should move things around here. We should talk about this instead. The Mama Spirit. You must know by now how evil it is, how destructive it is. How hard to even notice how evil it is sometimes. It's honestly just they call it love, they call it their right, what they deserve. I'm just thinking a little bit about this Mama Spirit in the home. I was thinking of it. This fits too, we'll talk about this first. You guys catch Joel Friday TV. Cool little episode there. They were talking about that lady I've mentioned before a little bit. Her TikTok's page or something like that. And this woman hates her husband. She just hates her husband. She's making these TikToks. And so I guess I'm thinking about Joel's episode a bit. Great episode. And for example, how do I start? Like, check this out, for example. Let's do it like this. Let's do it like this. Because I was thinking to myself, listening to Joelle and that Paige lady talk about her husband in that TikTok. It's like, oh, the roles, it's just so unfair. Women have to do so much in the home. It's so unfair. Just way too much housework, even when both are working. And I'm like listening to her, watching Joelle, like, and great commentary from Joelle. I was thinking to myself, what in the grand scheme of things, if we wanted to look at men and women in America, like what are men doing? Like, what are men doing? So they're like criminals, right? The rapists, that end. But that's not. Yeah. Men are the ones doing it. You don't really get women, mass killers. You know them. They don't really have the strength to. But anyways, but out of that, it's not even close to a majority of men in America. So that's like, so in our minds, parsing that out, the rapists, the criminals, the violent criminals. Like, besides that, like how prevalent is that? Can we agree that that's, in the grand scheme of things, rare, even though it shouldn't happen? And if someone's gonna do it, it's gonna be a man, maybe. We could definitely, we could split more hairs. We could go further on that, but hey, we're talking about something else right now. What are men doing? What are they doing actually? What is their crime? What is their crime? What are they doing? So I'm like scrolling, right? I'm looking at this daily. Forgive me, for I am maybe as shallow. I am on no high horse. I am on no throne. So throw the tomatoes to me as well, but I'm not. Let me just move this. Come on. I don't want to. I'm not really that interested in these people. There really is a point here, but Tom Brady and Giselle, I've talked about it before. Let me not be so coy. Tom and Giselle, that witch, that black widow. Judge her, but hey, that's just my opinion. Tom Brady, the NFL player, just absolute legend, right? Eight Super Bowl winner, whatever. Married to Giselle Bundchen, never took his last name. One of those red flags, fellas. Guess never really took his last name. Giselle Bundchen, high-paid model. They said she was like the highest paid in the world. Even made more money than Tom. I remember seeing those articles. Don't know how true it was, but they divorced some time ago. These celebrity divorces, they go around. And maybe I'm softening my beta-ness a little bit. I scroll the news every day, so I see it. But I clicked. And I know a little bit too much maybe, but not that much. Just really what's here. And it's the details are not important. The thing is they divorce. The nitty-gritties of he said, she said, as I guess. Some details are important. That's what I'm talking about. But look, there's this article going around right now. There's this moment where they're saying that Tom Brady has been sent a stark message by his ex-wife, Giselle Bundchen, on his love life. And if you don't know, they divorced like October 2000, 2 years ago, 2022. November of that year, Giselle's gallivanting around with some yoga, some Joaquin sounding, some ethnic guy, Joaquin Valiente or some crap, gallivanting with the children in some vacation out there with some other man. November. and it's like, okay, we don't know, but it's like apparently he really liked the NFL. He's working hard at the NFL. He's saying he's going to leave. I'm done. I'm retiring. Oh, but they couldn't keep him away. 40 days after that big announcement, right? The legend is retiring. This was all over the news. 40 days after. They couldn't keep him away. He's back. He's not going. Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. Like Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not leaving. I'm not effing leaving. And it was right then. It just all fell apart. Divorce, blah, blah, blah. Look, whatever. He worked too much, maybe. But where was I here? Where was I? Tom's unretirement from football, maybe a major thing, because she's got all these things that she said she probably would say. She said that she had to sacrifice so much, and what she wants to do is she's got these she's got all these passions. She does all this wellness, environmental causes, and personal development. And she's quoted here saying, after years of putting the family and putting Brady first, she had to put that to the side. So okay, whatever. But what's this going around here? What's this? Why this hit the news? Why is this going here? Because apparently he's been seen with someone too. Oh, by the way, she got pregnant like right away by this guy. Right away, your darling wife. The love was between us. Anyways, neither here nor there. The point is that she's went on some show, basically went on some news thing or on some publication or tabloid thing, and she's saying, in response to Brady maybe out there, maybe finding some romance, opening up his love life. She's here talking to somebody saying that she's enjoying her life with Valiente, who is so different and much more chill and laid back than she found the 7-time Super Bowl winner Brady to be. That is so, like, what pushes someone to go on something and be interviewed or whatever, and publicly say, and nobody's talking about her, it's like the news is he's maybe found someone else. And she's like, yeah, no, I hope he's happy. I'm actually so much happier with somebody else. He's so different than Brady, like chill, laid back, so not into like 7 football. It's like so much football. And I was thinking about that a bit, like, you know what? It wouldn't even be a big deal if they divorced when the kids were like older. You know, they're like 9, 14 or something like that. It wouldn't have been a big deal. Like I thought that about celebrities or something. They make all this money. The kids are gone and they're like not happy with each other. It's like, what is the point of being married at that point? Okay, and maybe there is a point. I heard someone say for the challenge, and there's something interesting to that. That you grow up a bit. You don't stay married or marry or are motivated by feelings. Oh, I love her. We feel a connection. No, so maybe there is a reason to stay married even past all that. But definitely what I wouldn't do is try and hold something together. It's like, what is the point, right? What is a marriage, right? Oh, it's a connection. No, it's like there's no point, right? So it wouldn't even be a big deal, right? If the kids were gone, if the kids were older. But I'm looking at this right now. I'm like thinking, what is it that men are doing in the homes across America? What is their grand crime? Like, okay, dad fighting with mom, or really yelling, like pretty bad yelling. Like, let's say in the worst cases, somewhat physical maybe, or I don't know. Gets a little hazy maybe, but put it like this: that's the crime. We're trying to get extreme with it. That's between them. That's between the mother and the father. Okay, so in so many cases, it's mutual combat, way more than you even understand. So much left out of the story. And the focus on that one moment where dad lost his temper and hit mom. And you're like, not a justification, but, so I'm wondering, I'm like, what is the grand crime that justifies feminism and being so mad and being like, men, they're terrible. They have a word for them, isms, misogynism. And you got to understand this vibe to some degree. The most average normie girl raised in America, goes to school, they have some connection to this narrative, this story of men in America, men in the homes. So it's like, what is going on? So dad fights with mom. Okay. I'm still looking for it. I'm still looking for the grand crime. And it's like, without going, like, I'm really thinking about it. It's like, without going, you've heard them say, without even going to like JLP levels, the woman is evil, which is not something I deny. I may have even said that on my show, right? But as I grow and I mature and like, I'm seeing that for myself. And if I'm seeing that for myself, it's like, I didn't quite see it before. Okay. That if I'm just like seeing it, wow, now I really see what you're saying. It means I didn't really see it before, so there was a misunderstanding. So what I'm trying to say here is that before even having to go there, adopt words, LARP a little bit, and you realize you don't really have to, because you gotta admit that the story for the Zoomer generation, for a lot of my viewers, your generation growing up, the generation before that, like, let's put it there, 40, 50, 60, 70 years. On a more definite claim here, without going all spiritual Adam and Eve about it, you got to admit the story has been women adopting like the more leadership role, getting their way, getting what they wanted, creating the relationships that they were talking about and wanted and fought for, and they said they fought for. They taught us that in school. It's been decades of them setting things up really how they want. And the proof is in the pudding. Really, when you see women are miserable, they're not really happy with the men. They're not marrying us. They're not marrying you. They're cheating on you. They're breaking your heart. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what is the crime the men are doing? Because it's not what the women are saying. And I think about it, so like, there's things that they're doing. And it's like they're being weak. And the weakness of a man is heartbreaking. Put it like that. Especially to the young, especially to your dad, the first man or whatever. You see him weak. The weakness of the man is heartbreaking. So I get it. The heart of the little girl is broken. But so what can I say about that? It's true. But I'm just thinking about it, right? What is the grand crime? It's not what they're saying it is. They're not these terrible misogynistic people who are forcing them to work. You were just watching Joel Friday TV. If you weren't, he had this woman talking on TikTok, making this big claims, multiple videos about how the roles are not fair. They say the men, when they work, they get it off scot-free, and so they don't have to do the housework because they have a job and they provide. But the women, it's unfair. And it's like video after video, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, should you, before we even get to what is the role of a woman and how is society seeing this and how it's unfair to women, before we even have any conversation like that, isn't this a conversation you should be having with your husband first? Because you're leaving something out. Did you already talk to him and he was just like, no, the roles are not unfair. You work fine. Or like, what is it? Because you're on this TikTok crusade. It sounds like this is a conversation with your husband. Did you not go to him and say, hey, I'm working too much? And it's like, okay, great point too by Joel. He's like, the husband is obviously a yes man. So obviously a yes man in that situation. Like, what do you need, honey? I'll cook. Oh, you need to. It's like, no, honey, we need to do less. You need to stop. Women don't even know what they want, right? They're waiting. In a lot of cases, they're waiting for someone, for the answer to someone to tell them how crazy and evil they are. They know it's someone. I just saw this TikTok too. This woman, she was just like, I keep arguing with my husband and she has the camera up on this angle, right? To show how her husband looks at her from his height. And she's like, I keep arguing with my husband, but I just realized that when he looks down the way he looks down at me from this angle, that's why he gives up in 10 seconds, because he's looking at a little tiny girl. And so he kisses me on the forehead. I'm looking at this whole TikTok like this woman is begging for this tall beast of a man. She's saying in this TikTok, she's like, and it clearly, and I just yap. And then I'm just being this little thing, and she's dealing with me. And I'm like, she knows how crazy she is. And you're just like kissing her on her forehead. Tell her that she's crazy. She's begging. She's on TikTok begging for you to tell her she's crazy. But anyways, that's what I see when I see these women on TikTok, married women on TikTok. I'm like, oh, this or that. Oh, my husband is. See, because she was even being positive about him, right? She's like, I look up at him, and I'm like, I realized, oh, that's why he doesn't argue with me. Although good on him, though. Good on him. She's just a little whatever. Anyway, side note, proof is in the pudding. They're really miserable. She should be taken up with her husband, right? And this is what I'm getting at. She's making the TikTok. There is no law. The culture is just not like this terrible culture that should she bring it up to her husband and not TikTok, he might beat her. Like, there are no men like that anymore. There's no law. There's no thing that says you understand. She's making a big claim. She's making a big stink on TikTok saying, oh, the roles at home aren't the housework at home is not divvied up properly. Are the men around waiting to beat you like the 1950s or something like that? Because, hey, you don't talk back to me. Like, that's not the world we're in. So again, I'm waiting to see the crime. What's the big crime in the world I grew up in? And I've yet to really see it other than the man's weakness, which is heartbreaking. It's a letdown, true letdown. What can I say? It's, that woman in that TikTok too. What we don't know, it's like that man, should he say, they don't even know. They want what the Joneses have. They think the kids need all that. And so, of course, he's a yes man going along with the woman, thinking the kids need all this education and the money and the this and that, but no mother at home watching the crazy kids. So he's clearly a yes man, but I wonder, you go up to her, you tell her, you know what, honey, we don't need all these things. She'll turn on you. She thinks the woman thinks the family needs all those things. That's why she goes out to work and all that. She thinks she's God. She thinks that the kids need all that, and they need the simpler the better. They would recoil. They would recoil at the thought of, well, like this is an extreme example. I really don't think this is coming down to this. But put it like this: imagine if tomorrow, imagine it's like mom and dad are working. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. And you sit down and you do the numbers and you're like, wow, my kids need the mother at home, and then I'll come home later to, get the report and keep guiding the family. But to do this, it's going to require them to be in cloth diapers. All right, here's what we're going to do it. She would recoil. She's like, wait, they need Huggies to be good kids, not realizing that her being home and the mother and the father being in unity and harmony is the most beautiful gift, the most perfect gift you could give, the best setup you could give to your child. So, that is the ego of the woman. So I'm like, what is the big crime? The one with the dagger in the household is the woman. And yeah, the man's just sitting there watching. But it's terrible. It's terrible. But anyways, that's just kind of how I see it. It's what are men really doing? There's no justification for all this anger. There's no justification. It doesn't even make sense. And it doesn't have to be like that. You can forgive, and women don't have to. And women too. Women don't have to be waiting for the right man, and it's like waiting around and waiting, or always let down, and trying to control and make the man be stronger, be what she wants him to be. She could drop all that, be free. He could be all that, forgive, overcome his mother, and stop being so weak. Literally, you're just weak. You're just so emotional and weak. And men don't have to go to the red pill. Now the men don't have to go to the red pill, and because now you understand yourself and women. So what are men doing? There's no justification, ladies, for this anger. You need to repent. And yeah, that's crazy. Well, what are they doing? They're not even doing like. In some cases, they're doing nothing when they maybe should be doing something. But what's the big old crime that justifies all this feminine? Like you have to conclude from that. And again, I'm not even going to that level, but you start maybe seeing, this guy's maybe onto something. Women, the evil comes through the woman. We're talking the vast majority of women today see men in that narrative that I painted. But you look at the details, none of it's happening. None of it is happening. So anyways, let's move on from all that. Let's see what else. How the home is dominated and making beta males. And the world knows this. The world knows this. The media knows this. Concerning the economy and all that. The tariffs and what might come and all that. I'm scrolling through CNN, for example, in this case. And one of the big headlines, I'm scrolling through economics thing. And it's an article about China and the tariffs that China announced back, reciprocally, yet again, it's like triple reciprocally. It's like back-to-back reciprocal. They responded with their own tariffs on the U.S. goods. And then under that, it's an article titled, Your 10-Step Korean Skincare Routine Could Change with Tariffs. And I almost just scrolled past, but I was thinking, this is the most important thing that's going to get, that's going to inflate and prices will change due to these tariffs. I mean, we just got done reading articles about, past week, about everybody saying this is the biggest economic tariff policy in 200 years, some were saying, remember? This is a wrecking ball. That's what I was saying. But. And in this wrecking ball of a situation that might affect everything, literally everything, and we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Is it all going to tank? Is it going to be a huge recession? The Korean 10-step skincare product is the major thing to be watching, the major economic metric to be watching here. Folks, this is an ad. This is do they know? Not an ad, but this is just targeted. This is just targeted political propaganda. There are the factions that dislike the disruption that Trump is putting, making, the waves, the status quo he's shaking up. And those people with tendrils in the media are cajoling the public to repeat their refrain, which is actually detrimental to those people. They don't even know what they're yelling about. And what better way to do it? What better way to start? What is the levers? What are the actual levers that you need to start messing with to enact this plan? The women, the advertisers know this. This is just a targeted article towards women. There's all sorts of, right, we're talking about all sorts of things that could be affected. We're talking all sorts of things. Hey, Kaya, thanks for the super chat. You stay in my... Hey, what's up? Appreciate it. It says, hey, Nick, I got nothing to say, but hey. Your Korean skincare routine could change with tariffs. And what's... So, yeah, you get it. Like, this is targeted to the women. It's like, oh, my gosh, this is economically tough. And, it's like all sorts of people getting affected by this. I am. I read an article about Korean skincare products are good. And so you know what? I'm a voter. I'm an educated. I'm now an informed voter in this country. And for that reason, tariffs are bad. Tariffs are bad. Tariffs are bad. Time to protest. Honey, we're going protesting. Well, do we really need to do that, honey? I mean, he's already president. How about we just wait and see what's going to happen with... No, we need to go out and protest. Elon Musk is a Nazi, and Tesla is a Nazi company. You saw those protests, right? It's like old women. It's like old women in there digested. That maybe I'm adding to it. You gotta be. You saw these old women protesting, and their husbands. Some of them with the men in there. They look like some women in there, maybe some young people, but it looked like a bunch of old people, a bunch of old women Democrats. Stringing along their husbands, beta male. So we got to protest about these Korean skincare products. Like it's like perfect. If you're the person. If you're whoever's running CNN, it's just perfect. It's like you already know the levers to push. You already know the artillery to set up in this political fight, which is what it is for people. I personally think for Trump, it is about America. You got to play the politics and all that. But it's like that's what this is. This is factions putting out their articles so that they can protect themselves, their bottom line, because it's their stocks. But making America last, going through short-term pain now so that we can have a real economy, so we can have something that goes beyond, something that so we can confront the looming problems the people with money are all too aware of but are protected from it by a buffer. But no, right? So you understand, you see the situation, you see the relationship. And that's what this article is, your 10-step Korean skincare. But I got to say, what's this like? Okay, ladies in the chat, now it's your turn. Now it's your turn to tell me how ignorant I am and all that. But I'm going to maintain my space and skepticism, I'm going to understand that this is not my purview. I'm going to understand my place. I'm going to understand what I don't know, but I'm going to maintain my manly space here with whatever you may tell me. No, Nick, you got to have the 10 steps. But what's the 10 steps? There's a 10-step Korean skincare program. It's like, what is it? Tell me steps 1 through 8 are like sleeping well, eating well, don't smoke and drink alcohol. How about that, right? You're going to tell me slather this gunk, a little bit of this goop, a little bit of this powder, a little bit more gunk, and bang, Now you're looking like, you're going to tell me, so a little bit of gunk, a little bit of powder. You're going to tell me that Shruti, you're going to tell me that Shruti Kapoor, you're going to tell me that with enough gunk, Shruti Kapoor is going to have like, I don't know, she may have supple, beautiful, brown, Indian skin that's clear, and but she may not have needed it with 10 steps, but you're going to tell me she's going to be this K-pop. Shruti may have supple, beautiful, moisturized skin, but did she really need 10 steps for that? And is this more of like propaganda, advertising the makeup industry? You know what I'm saying? Come on, there's got to be a lot of lies there. 10 steps, ladies, really? I feel like you're getting a little scammed in some ways. And I know that the ladies out there who know makeup know that I'm right, because you know better than me all the work you had to do to know what's a scam and what isn't. Because you found, some of you out there, you guys get it a little bit. There is a world here, artistic world, and understanding things that work and things that don't work. So you ladies out there, you guys know I'm right. You've done the work. You know there's all the fake stuff out there. And it's like, how about being healthy? How about being healthy? Some sun. My cave, bat cave computer complexion, I think, is more of a problem than me not doing the 10 steps, whatever goop and gunk you're putting on your face. A little what? Moisturization, maybe. Keeping it clean in your diet. Eating well. And bang, bang. You're looking healthy, you look great. But no, anyways, that's a different point now. Let's move on. It's like everybody's got to be this like wet look. You got to look wet and glossy. So anyways, moving on. Propaganda, honestly. Fear propaganda. And they know exactly who to target. Do you notice that? Shout out Shruti out there. Just get moisturized. You're fine. Gut health is everything, I heard. Everybody got a theory on the health. But come on, what about the basics? Everybody want the trick, right? Everybody want the trick. What's the trick? What's the move? The shortcut, the trick. But what about the basics? Hey, do you know anything good for my stomach? Like, what's a good thing? Eat well. No. I mean, I need like a trick or a medicine or like a quick pill. Oh, dude, you're eating family-size bag. You're eating 2 family-size bags of hot Cheetos every day? Yeah. I need an antacid. I need a trick. I need something to deal with the stomach here. Stop eating 2 bags of hot Cheetos. No. I need the fix. Anyways, a little skit with the apparition in my mind. This mention about, I want to mention this thing about the iPhones real quick, and then jump into like the main news. Really, it's the U-turn. They're saying they're doing a 90-day pause on these tariffs, and I want to get to those details and all that. It's significant, and it can be significant what's happening with all that. But I'm looking at this article, not too dissimilar from the earlier stuff on makeup. They're saying that iPhone could triple in price to $3,500. You're telling me iPhones are going to be $3,000 plus? We're all going to be paying $3,000 for iPhones? If we force Apple to make iPhones and manufacture them in America with stuff here, these articles, you see them come out, they're saying, the estimations. I saw another article estimate 30,000. Where did I put that? And these articles are coming out saying iPhones might cost all sorts of money due to these sweeping global tariffs. Right? Imagine that. I mean, the current price. I mean, take in the iPhone right now. Isn't it like $1,000? iPhone 16. iPhone 16. Wait, what are we at? Are we iPhone 16? Yeah, iPhone 16. Let's see, iPhone 16. Yeah, we're looking at like $1,000. I mean, the price says Apple. Trying to do a live show. We're looking at, $799, $899. Those are the cheaper ones, right? iPhone 16, no Plus, no Pro Max. They got cheaper models too. Don't they have like the C or whatever like that? Or the S or... But there's your price. That's what we're looking at. $3,500. It's just propaganda, honestly. It's targeted propaganda. It's all built on a technicality. You know, it's like, yeah, if I snapped my fingers and suddenly all those factories and all the stuff and all that were suddenly here, subject to American regulations and subject to the current price for this or that good, should it be imported. If I snap my fingers, yeah, the iPhone might cost that much. And even then, there's all sorts of things companies can do. Offload those costs elsewhere. But that's a different story. That's only a technicality. If I snap my fingers and tomorrow it was like that, you don't think Apple knows what's good for them? You think they just pledged to manufacture in America for, I didn't think about that. Oh, oops. I guess iPhones are just $3,000 now. Like, you don't think Apple knows what what's good for them? Like, you don't think they know that people would not buy iPhones at that price? They know what people would buy the iPhones at what price. They'll maybe try to manipulate that a bit, maybe over years, pushing that this way or that way. But the point is, it's at somewhere where it is now. If I snap my fingers and it was like that, it's just like ridiculous, right? It's just a thought experiment, if anything. This is a thought experiment of what would happen with manufacturing. It's all the more reason why this should change. We should be able to make all sorts of stuff here. Oh, but Nick, don't you know that medicine, really important medicine is we import really important medicine? Someone told me the other day. Wow, that's really dangerous. We should really make that here. So you're telling me enemies, people that don't even like us, we require a life-saving medicine, like a staple for our medical industry over here? That's a security concern. That's a major security concern. You know what I mean? That's a serious security concern. So, call it what you want. I say it's just silly articles. Like, we don't even know what's going to happen. It's just a pledge from Apple. We'll see if they want to manufacture here. The point is, Trump is doing what he wants to do here on this. And Apple is just going to fend for themselves. In the interim, it could look like this or that. You can't be just going. You can't just be so quick to lose your minds, right? Opportunities seem to be, everywhere. If you pay attention, I see them in my life, little, small, big. But even just looking at the news, isn't this just a clear, like this, the moment Trump signs whatever order and enacted a tariff, for example, in this case, on China, he, at the stroke of a pen, made it so that tomorrow an American could make a company that competes with China. And, I heard that the other day, and it's just such a good, true fact. I had to say that myself. It's just so darn true it hurts. At the stroke of a pen, he said, Trump made it possible for you to create businesses tomorrow that compete with China. It's like, we can't compete with China, they say. Manufacturing these little bits and bobs and pieces and plastic things and metal things. We're talking millions, billion industry. We can't get in there. China's got that. Stroke of a pen, Trump made it possible. So now it's up to you. He says, perhaps we can have a golden era. Will you take this opportunity? Do you see them all around you? They're saying, look, they're reporting China's small factories are completely black-pilled right now, and I can't confirm how credible this reporting is. They're saying, according to this guy apparently translating Chinese social media. These are a number of things they're saying out there, apparently. Goods are piling up in warehouses across China. They're quoted. The more ambitious you are, the more you lose. When the gods fight, the people suffer. Talking about the President Xi and Trump and the big leaders. If no one is buying, how can we clear domestically? 30% rely on exports for wages. Consider for a moment how much the world relies. This is what I'm talking about, this parasitic relationship. And I know that's just my crude explanation. It doesn't have to be and isn't necessarily always like that. But the relationship between America and the global trade partners and how they use the U.S. dollar as a reserve currency to facilitate trade. They rely on so much of the world relies on the American market selling to us so that they can operate. But that's what they're saying. Just some reports, right? They're saying small factories in Guangdong will disappear after June. The whole world criticizes the U.S., but no one wants to give up access to the U.S. market. This is worse than COVID. Yeah, whoever said that on the Chinese social media is an intelligent person looking at things. No one wants to give up access to the U.S. market, but they all want to criticize. Hey, we deserve this trade deal. No, we're trade partners. You can't change it up. We, for some reason, are entitled to this lopsided deal where you can't do business fairly and we get money. So anyways, opportunities there. Opportunities around. And I do want to get to callers here, 888-775-3773. I'm going to get to Rick here, but we're about to get into, the main news here, this whole thing on this drop into possibly temporarily dropping the tariffs. It's not a total drop, it's looking like. More on those. We just lost them. Oh, well, anyways, call me back, Rick. I'll get to you. Callers who were calling me earlier, get to me. I'll get to you. We'll get to callers here. 888-775-3773. Well, we better start building factories or something, says Kevin Howell. Yeah, I sure hope that, we start seeing, that this whole move, like, I trust Trump. It makes sense. It's how it was, too, for so long in America. Tariffs being the driver of money coming into the federal government, for example. It's the reason why Americans didn't pay tax. They had tariffs. And it's like, when you look at some of points in history of different leaders doing this, just betting on your people makes sense to me. Betting on your people makes sense to me. Doing the right thing, even though there's short-term pain, makes sense to me. Now, it's funny. I knew that that's what was really at the core of why this was right. Because Trump was willing to do the hard thing that would cause pain at the beginning. And now I'm seeing this. Now I've been saying this. Now I'm maybe a little bit just ego. Maybe it's just an ego thing. This following thing about how I'm seeing different people online and all that kind of start saying that too. They're like, you know what? Shout out Trump. They're saying he's bold because he's willing to do the thing that's painful at the beginning. Like, what a leader. What a leader. So betting on your people, doing the right thing, even though it's short-term pain, I'm betting on that. And that's why I know it'll work. That's why I know it'll work. And I'm there. I'm there. So the news is, however, that Trump is temporarily dropping tariffs to 10% for most countries. Hits China harder with 125%. And this all comes amidst this escalating thing with China. You see, Trump did the baseline tariff on everybody, 10%, which is major. And then the reciprocal tariffs concerning individually the nations that are hitting U.S. with tariffs. He hit them back with some form of tariff. And so that's what's been going on. I say awesome. And it's looking like like as you just heard me, he's dropping some of these tariffs for 90 days. And we'll get into the details because it looks like he's not dropping the 10% base thing, which is huge. So I don't know if it's fair to say this is a walking back. This is a up and down thing. I think it's still unclear. It's still what is clear is that all sorts of nations are like coming to Trump and saying we want to negotiate. Okay, we're throwing in the towel. You win the trade war deal. You win. We want to negotiate. And so when I see he's keeping the 10%, I'm still optimistic and thinking it's solid, but I'm waiting and seeing, right? I'm waiting and seeing, and I don't know exactly what is the motivation, is what I'm trying to say here. Because if it's at all anything like, we're just going to soften it up. I got to say, understanding my place in ignorance here. Now, I'm not privy to the inner workings. And for that, I'm hesitant to, right, make any big claims, right? Because we just don't know. They're working at it. They're still working it out. Like, it's still an active negotiation. It's still going on, right? So, but I'm just saying, any weakness on it, as his voter, as a supporter of his, I say keep it up. Don't. No need for that. In my opinion, because look, he's saying there's a 90-day pause. Here's the article, essentially. President Donald Trump on Wednesday dropped new tariff rates on imports from most U.S. trade partners to 10% for 90 days to allow trade negotiations with those countries. Trump announced the pause hours after goods from nearly 90 nations became subject to stiffer reciprocal tariffs imposed by the United States. The president also said in social media that he was raising the tariffs imposed on China to 125%. Trump said more than 75 countries contacted U.S. officials to negotiate after he unveiled his new tariffs last week. Stock market indices rocketed sharply higher Wednesday on Trump's announcement, reversing 4 days of losses. And so that's the stock market. It's going gangbusters right now. A U-turn. Surging. And I got to say, I'm kind of not too happy to see the news so happy about this. Cheering on this surge. Because if Trump is going to go, if Trump going hard on the tariffs is what caused it, I would like to see him go just as hard after these 90 days if he needs to. And if going that hard is going to bring them back down, it's like, then I don't care what these people who are getting happy about it right now are saying. I do not care because they're just going to be mad when it goes down. I don't care about this. And so I'm a little bit cautious about all that. I'm not too happy to see them happy about this, not going to lie. Because they're the ones who think it's reasonable. They're the ones calling for Trump to be reasonable with your economic policy, which is what? Reasonable for them is to keep this whole charade going, where the world continues to be able to sell to America, purchase American assets with the dollars that they earned from selling stuff to America, to the Americans. And they're all happy getting billions for them. Meanwhile, the American worker, the individual, they have to just take the brunt of any economic wizardry that the ruling class is playing with to keep this whole thing going. Like, that's to keep this whole thing going, keep their stocks up, to keep this whole thing. That's who. So I don't care that they're happy about it. I'm a little cautious about it. But remember what this whole thing is about, right? The whole thing is to fix this trade deficit with the world and bring in money for the country. It's all that is still on the table, if you ask me. It's all still on the table. You know, all these countries saying we want to negotiate. Okay, we'll pause it in good faith. But yet he's keeping the 10%, which is major. That's still the like wrecking ball in my mind, unless I'm misunderstanding something here. That's still the like wrecking ball edge that you want to give to the American economy and the American manufacturing front and all that. In my mind, it seems. So that's on the table. Is it a big U-turn for Trump, or is it just a smart move to negotiate with China and this thing with China? Maybe. Now it's outside of my purview. Now I'm not so sure. I really just don't know. But when I see Trump talk like this, right? When he was just, the other day, calling for Congress to essentially abolish the income tax, like, watch this. This is the kind of thinking Trump has, the kind of vision he's willing to have, the kind of how he's willing to think. You got to be kind of fearless for that, right? Because that's how the world is. They're so fearful they can't even think beyond our old alliances. And you can't do that. That's racist. Like, you can't even think beyond that. This is the kind of man Trump is.
America is going to be very rich again, and it's going to happen very quickly. It's time for the United States to return to the system that made us richer and more powerful than ever before. Do you know the United States in 1870 to 1913, all tariffs, and that was the richest period in the history of the United States, relatively speaking. In other words, relatively. And they set up the Great Tariff Commission of 1887, and this commission had one function: what to do with all the money that we took in. It was so enormous that they had no idea. It was a blue ribbon committee. It was set up 1887, and what to do with all of the money that we had. And again, Teddy Roosevelt was a beneficiary, because when McKinley was killed, he took over this vast sum of money, and he did all of those national parks and all of the other things. And I'm not knocking him, but he was given a vast amount of money, and that was all made through tariffs. We had no income tax. The income tax came in 1913. As I said in my speech last week, instead of taxing our citizens to enrich foreign nations, we should be tariffing and taxing foreign nations to enrich our citizens. Does that make sense, right?
That changed. It wasn't like that. That's what happens. The citizens here, the greatest, biggest economy in the world, are taxed so that the ruling class and the political class can continue this relationship where they're able to use the American economy as this bargaining chip for all these deals that enrich them. And it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. It was, they were in tax. And then what? For these wars too? All that money goes to what? For their wars, to continue their influence. I mean, they could continue doing that, but they used to charge the world for that, and now they charge us. So he's talking about essentially abolishing the income tax. And again, why did I play that clip? To express how I may not know exactly what this means, but if it's at all a U-turn from this, if it's at all going away from this, and then I just hope it's not, right? I just hope it's not, and it doesn't have to be. But whatever. What I'm also saying is I do really trust him as the guy to know how to navigate exactly that, right? It's like abolishing income tax. Well, actually getting there is another thing, right? So navigating that, understanding my ignorance and exactly what it takes to navigate that, I'm just expressing that I wouldn't want any U-turn from such a thing. I believe in that, what he's saying there. In the plan, and like, I believe him. So no, let's go hardcore. Let's see what happens. So, because they're saying it's 90-day temporary halt. So, see what that means for real. If it's really just kind of like trying to back off, it's just how deep that goes. It's unclear to me. But now I'm just rambling about it. So I believe I'm with it. I think I totally believe it'd be a success. So the only thing now at this point, in my mind, that would be detrimental to this vision or of success that I believe is totally possible, would be like wishy-washiness, right? Like back and forthness, going like, terror, but it'll calm down. And so that's just one of the thoughts I have, understanding my ignorance about it, right? Because maybe it's just negotiations, right? It's still just as significant, but it's only going to work, and it's significant because of this negotiating and pausing and all that. So maybe it's not wishy-washiness or all that. Well, so that's kind of the news, basically. They're saying it's a big surge, the Dow, the NASDAQ. So right on, he told you that, what was it? Trump posted on Truth Social. He really is for the people. You hear about Nancy Pelosi and this or that politician, their stock portfolio just ballooned because they made just such perfect predictions. It's like, how'd you know that company was about to, or this or that company was about to go up or down? It's almost like you predicted this policy or this law going in effect that had this effect. And it's like, what information do you have here? Trump literally posted on Truth Social, good time to buy in. And I forget exactly when, but it was literally true. If you had followed Trump and bought in during the panic, and then your stocks are right now going nuts. They're going gangbusters right now. Like nuts. They're saying they recovered 4 days of losses in like a day. And he announced that today. It just like, what, an hour or two ago? When did he announce this? When I was looking at the article, it said posted 16 minutes ago, and that was like maybe an hour and a half ago. So if you listened to him, you would have gotten AKA insider information. Not that it was for real, but you would be kind of set up a little bit, and that would have been, you would be able to thank Trump. It's like he's watching out for y'all a little bit. Now, I don't know much about stocks and all that. My wealth will come. I know a little bit about it. Look, here he is on the Oprah show. So he's kind of been pondering this, Apparently he's been thinking about this.
Donald. I'd make our allies, forgetting about the enemies you can't talk to so easily. I'd make our allies. Last year, criticizing U.S. foreign policy. What would you do differently, Donald?
1988.
Make our allies, forgetting about the enemies you can't talk to so easily. I'd make our allies pay their fair share. We're a debtor nation. Something's going to happen over the next number of years with this country, because you can't keep going on losing $200 billion, and yet we let Japan come in and dump everything right into our markets and everything. It's not free trade. If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it, Oprah. Just forget about it. It's almost impossible. They don't have laws against it. They just make it impossible. They come over here, they sell their cars, their VCRs, they knock the hell out of our companies. And, hey, I have tremendous respect for the Japanese people. I mean, you can respect somebody that's beating the hell out of you, but they are beating the hell out of this country. Kuwait, they live like kings. The poorest person in Kuwait, they live like kings. And yet they're not paying. We make it possible for them to sell their oil. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me, and I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
Probably not, but I do get tired of seeing the country ripped off.
Why would you not?
I just don't think I really have the inclination to do it. I love what I'm doing. I really like it.
Also, it doesn't pay as well.
No, it doesn't. But,
Yeah, I've seen the second half of this a whole bunch of times. I'm sure a bunch of you have. But I feel like I've never seen that first part where he's talking about tariffs, or never really cared. But yeah, he's been thinking about this. Bringing back some of the, they say this is like, in the modern age, America has not had any kind of a policy like this. Such a shakeup.
But,
That's why I like the man. You got to understand. That's amazing. The vision to do, the courage to do such a shakeup. Nobody's been voted into government in the past probably 50 years, if not longer, that's thought like that. You mean, they just have too much fear. It's too radical. So where was I? Let's get to Rick out of Hampton, Virginia. Appreciate your call, sir. Hold on here. Hold on, Rick. Hold on. Hey, Rick, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Nick, what's going on, my brother?
All is well, Rick. No complaints here.
Man, I tell you, man, you know, I don't understand. How's the media gaslighting the American people thinking that the tariffs are just there to make people's lives miserable? I noticed the media don't share that, how unfair these countries are treating us, man. We basically grabbing their ankles, man, and getting screwed. And I'm glad President Trump is probably the only one that ever stand up to these people.
Yeah, Rick, they're defending themselves. They're defending their own bottom lines, telling the American people those things.
And they believe it, man. I'm gonna lose my job, but they don't know the whole story, man. China's been dirty, man, when it comes to trading.
Yeah.
So is Mexico. I mean, it's just that they charging us more money to sell our stuff to them, but yet they bring in their stuff, and there's no taxes or nothing, man. They just reaping the benefits.
Right, and it's more than just dirty. But you were saying?
No, I'm saying they're not aware that these people have high taxes on our goods now.
Right, and it's more than just dirty. The way it got like that was thanks to American politicians. So you're looking at...
Absolutely.
Right, you're looking at the result of that.
Yep. Hey, Nick, you said a mouthful you didn't choke, my brother. And that's true, man. It's a lot of these politicians getting kicked out. I'm telling you, watch Jasmine Crockett. She won't come up with a lot of corruption soon.
Say again?
That. I mean, Jasmine Crockett, I think she's going to come up with a lot of corruption. Keep an eye on her.
Oh, big time.
She's going to come up with a lot of corruption. I mean,
yeah, all loud like that.
Yeah.
It's just suspicious.
You know, it's like you can only make $174,000 as a congressman, and you got $9 million. Dang, I tell you what stocks you in? You know?
What the?
Yeah, I'm like, you make $174,000. You've been in Congress maybe 4 years, and you got $9 million worth $9 million. Man, either what mutual funds you're using or what silver and gold you got going, I want to know, because there's no way you can make that, you know, in Congress in that little short length of time.
These public servants getting filthy rich is just way too common.
That's what I'm
There's
talking
something
about.
wrong
And that's what Doge is exposing. All these corrupt politicians, man.
And I just can't trust a woman that does too many things. Like, I'm a public defender and a civil rights attorney, and I'm a Jasmine, and I'm a representative, and I do hair, and there's something shady about all that.
Who wants a woman like that? Man, we don't care about women. You know what? Justin Joel's show. Men don't care about women money. We don't care about your degrees. All we want is a woman that's very feminine, beautiful, can have children, and cooperative. That's all men look for. We don't look for you to have all men. When a woman got that much going on, she can't be a good wife to no man anyway.
Yeah.
She ain't gonna have no time.
And I'm just suspicious too. It's like, I don't know. I get suspicious. It's like, well, you got all these things going on.
Maybe she's using all those jobs to cover up her income.
You know what I'm saying? Anyways, but Jasmine, man, it's like, what were you saying about that? Like, yeah, these people, they really are watching for their bottom line. That's why they got the public saying all that, saying, repeating all this, saying this is bad, when they're not going to see any of this money, right? The taxes are still going up. They still don't. Their wages aren't amazing, right? With the job they have, so they're just defending the bottom line of No, they're just defending the bottom line of the establishment. But go on.
But that's why they want to turn you against Doge, because the only thing Doge is doing is uncovering all this wasteful money that politicians be spending. And then we American people wonder why they tax that so high. The more money the government blows and spends, the higher your taxes become. And you ought to be thanking Doge for trying to cover up some of the wasteful spending. But I tell you what I believe too, Dick, where a lot of wasteful spending goes to when it comes to the government. Government contracts.
Of course. Just look at what those contracts result in. You don't quite get the roads. You don't get any of the roads and amenities.
It's just, man, it's like you can go. I can go to Lowe's right now. There, Nick, go buy a hammer, a good hammer, probably about $45, $50. That same hammer will run the government almost to $125 to $200 for that same hammer. Now, why do y'all charge the government so much money?
Right, more. I've seen more. I've seen crazy markups for materials and things that contractors charge the government. They charge them whatever they want. And the government, I don't even understand. That's what I don't get about the government, why they don't look at this.
That's what I'm talking. They should look at it, man.
How come? Why does that happen? Because there's a deal. There's a negotiation. They're allowing it. That's why.
Yep. The government allows it. And that's why I'm thankful for President Trump looking at all this wasteful spending, man.
Right. So Trump brings in the guy to look at wasteful spending in the government, and the government says, "Hey, you can't do that." Don't you think that's wouldn't you think instantly, wouldn't you be instantly suspicious? Maybe those guys don't want you to find their wasteful spending.
Right. That's what everybody's balking so bad, especially the Democrats. That's why they pushing against the Doge so bad, because they don't want to cover some of the wasteful spending and kickbacks they be getting, possibly.
Simplice. Put it like this too, Rick. I think the major thing too, spiritually, why this is so, the Trump tariff thing and all that is it got average people who are not going to see any kickback from defending the establishment over this. Why they got them repeating all this is because you're dealing with a very basic spiritual principle that the world from the beginning of time has trouble with, which is do the right thing now, even though it'll hurt in the short term, so that it can be right later, right? If you do the right thing now, it's going to hurt in the short term, right? If you do the tariffs, prices might go up and all that because it's going to hurt in the short term. Meanwhile, we switch things up and get manufacturing going here.
Yeah, but
even the individual in their individual life has the same issue.
Yeah.
Do the short term painful thing for long term, peace and gain in the future. So that's
right.
That's what we're up
against. I'm with you on that, brother Nick. You said that, man, and you didn't choke at all, man.
Yeah,
and
Rick.
It just a lot of people just trying to cover their corruption and gaslight the American people to take their eyes off the wasteful spending and put it on like they're going to lose their jobs.
Terrible, Rick.
They'll never know it. What did they, Nick?
I said terrible. But anyways, man, anything else you want to talk about here? Anything else you want to mention before we move the wheels?
I just want to tell the American people, man, this Doge, don't get upset about it. Thank God President Trump is trying to cut some of this wasteful spending, and then now lower your taxes, man, and get more of an effective government.
True
right
say,
now,
Rick.
man. So that's pretty much all I want to say, man. I love our brothers and sisters that listen to your show, man. May God richly bless y'all for the whole week.
Always, Rick. Appreciate it. Take care. Call me again.
You too, brother Nick. You too, man. Love y'all. Be blessed.
888-775-3773. I see calls coming in. I will get to you here. But what else about this? No, we were just talking to Rick. That's what it was. But we're honestly done with the tariff thing here. Let's just give a little quick look-see over here. Oh, my lovely supporters at Rumble. I see you, Jules. Mark, I see you. Very nice. The tariffs on the rest of the world are on pause now. Nick probably already covered that. The time to buy into the market was yesterday. Jules, I did cover that. And I also covered how Trump tried to tell the people, too. You got all this insider trading, allegedly, in the world, in the top politics world. This or that politician. Filthy rich. He literally tweeted it out. He put it out on True Social or whatever. The time to buy in is now. That was the other day. Boom. Crazy surge. And I'm personally I don't care about the surge, right? I want Trump to go hardcore. But that's what's going on, right? He tried to tell you. But thank you, my lovely supporters. Thank you, Rumble. Thank you, DLive.tv. Groovy Monkey. Appreciate that. Yeah, some of those buying our farmland. Yeah, those people who are getting rich through this trade deficit like Trump was describing back in 1988, they're buying up American assets, beating out American companies. And so we're all just fat and sassy. Do you know what Canada is like? Like, how do I put this? My lovely Canada, I grew up in Canada, a place in my heart. And there's something about growing up in Canada. How do I put this? There's no like Canadian industry. Like, yeah, okay, like you got Canadian Tire, you got Tim Hortons, you got Canadian Tire, Tim Hortons. Like, I'm not saying Canada makes nothing and like there's no Canadian businesses, but there's something particularly hollow, and I don't know how to describe it. It's not that these Canadian companies are hollow, although you've seen in the modern age companies like Canadian Tire support immigration. It's like, what is happening to Canada? My Canada, right? But there's something, I don't know how to put this. There's something that feels hollow. Like, they used to have this company, what was it? Zellers. You guys remember Zellers? This is for my Canadians in the chat. Big department stores. There is no Canadian department. They used to have them. They call it Zellers. But now it's all gone. That's all gone. Do you want to be like, this is the incoming world of free trade, where it's like the world you grew up in, the Canada you grew up in, the America you grew up in is increasingly hollow. The companies that made it up, it's all just foreign goods, and that's the world Trump is describing back in the 88 with Japanese companies coming in and demolishing the American companies. What happens then? You have kind of like a Canada situation, and I love them. But there is a hollowness, and you guys know what I'm talking about. Maybe if you're in the chat and from Canada, there's like no Canadian companies, and the ones that are like dying, and they're big. They're only big, but there's no small Canadian companies and brands and all. Sure, it's like Lululemon, Tim Hortons, Canadian Tire, like international Canadian brands. What? Lululemon. That's it. What else is there? Lululemon. What else is there? All their kids come here and start podcasting. I know, Frederick. Man, what a mess. Shout out, Frederick. But, yeah, a little hollow. But, hey, they got all the trade and they can buy anything they need. It's just great, right? It's just great. And the people running things there, it's like, they'll just tell you to be happy with the immigration and all that. Just be happy with it. At least you can buy and have free trade, and we're making all these goods cheap for you through our deals. But we don't make anything here, and we're kind of a dying economy and culture and people. Too bad, says the political Canadian elite. Anyways, can't even get a decent poutine in this country. So anyways, just some thoughts about all that. Let's move on. I have calls coming in. I want to get to you. 888-775-3773. I do want to get to my calls here. Because, I want to get to this here. We did mention, I was mentioning, like, what are men doing, right? What's the big crime that they're doing? And it seems they're just weak, right? And this weakness, it's bad. It's a terrible thing, okay? It's not a good state for men to be in. Wait, let's see here. How do we do this? Basically, I want to get into this. Jordan Peterson was on Piers Morgan. And
there's a bit of a darkness
there. Speaking of Canadians, there's a bit of a darkness there, bud. And so anyways, Jordan Peterson was on Piers Morgan Uncensored, a show here, okay? And he was talking about a number of things, tariffs, adolescence, more. And he spoke on adolescence, for example. A little bit about that and young men and their mental health. And I was just thinking about their conversation a bit. He gets a little emotional, Jordan Peterson does here. I'm really not trying to josh too hard on the guy. He seems pretty, it's fine what he's saying in this interview, seems to me. Like, right? It's like, it seems fine, right? I do. So I am going to nitpick a bit on this crying mess and this emotional part. He does this every now and again. He does this every now and again. I guess I shouldn't feel too bad. I really shouldn't feel too bad commenting on this considering he should kind of know better by now. He should maybe have learned his lesson a bit by now. Because I get him. He cares about the young men, and he is admittedly saying things that the world still shies away from saying. And so right on, Jordan Peterson, being a voice out there. I haven't really kept up with him, honestly. I don't really watch him or keep up with him. But he seems to be an all right guy, right? It's just there's a key detail about this whole manhood thing and the mental health of young men and all that I can't help but comment on it. There's a simplicity to it I realize over the years that it
has to be incorporated.
Emotion and crying and passion will not understand. Okay? And even in this first little bit, because they have like a teaser. It's like an hour-long interview, right? We're not going to watch it. But you really do get a taste of it in this teaser that they have at the beginning. And so with what I've said so far, you'll understand maybe a bit of the flavor of what's going on here. Jordan Peterson with Piers Morgan.
There's a bit of a darkness that has to be incorporated into men before they can mature, before they can stop being children. And it's actually better to be a bit of a monster than a complete bloody lamb. Why don't you give some thought to trying to figure out why young men and women are so isolated from one another now that they don't even date, they don't drive, they don't drink, they don't marry? Why is that? How about 60 years of radically demoralizing, quasi-feminist, dimwit, hedonistic, leftist propaganda shoveled at them? We might as well teach kids using a Netflix series on adolescence.
Look at me now!
We talked about that, remember? Adolescence?
Brutal, pathetic. And of course they're going to turn to figures like Andrew Tate and
all right, calm down, Jordan Peterson, calm down.
Desperation.
I've got to say, I've interviewed you many times. I think this has been our best interview. And the fact it moves you so much, to me, says it all. If you didn't genuinely care, you wouldn't get emotional talking about this.
Man,
oh, come on.
Seeing this, like, this malaise, it's also overwhelming.
Piers Morgan, uncensored. Obviously, you care about it. It's obvious you care about it. I'm doing his accent terrible. What's this kind of English? This is different. There's a whole bunch of different ones out there.
And the fact it moves you.
The fact that it moves you. The fact that it moves you. It's clear that it moves you. Because you're crying, you're blubbering about it on TV. Obviously, you care about it so much. And if only we thought about this malaise, the malaise in the youth of the young men, they wouldn't have to turn to Andrew Tate. And there's something about the whole thing I just have to nitpick on. I just have to. And then I'll get to my callers here who are waiting patiently. Thank you, 888-775-3773. You know, you get a bit of a flavor of what he's talking about there with Piers Morgan without having to go into the whole interview. You're welcome to watch it yourself. But he's like, there has to be a bit of a... He was talking about the men, about having to be a bit of this darkness, you know. Or else you'd just be a little lamb. You'd be a pathetic lamb. And I gotta say, there's something about that relationship with darkness that the masculine world, maybe even red pill, it's like you gotta embrace. I almost hear him saying embracing anger, so to speak, but I'll stop myself before, stretching meaning so much just to make a point. Before saying any of that, I realized something about darkness and being a monster or something. You know what something monsters know? You know what something monsters know about themselves is they don't want any of that darkness. You know, when you're sick of being a monster, when you know you're evil or whatever, something about you just know something's wrong. You know you don't want any of that darkness. You don't want any of it. You want to overcome it. And that's why I love women, by the way, for those that think I don't. That's why I love them, because they know they're monsters. Not all of them. But this is why I love them, because they're you see them at Bond, honestly, at church with Jesse. Like, when you're actually kind of straight up about some of this stuff, they appreciate it. They appreciate it, and like, you know how many women like Jesse? You know how many women like Andrew Tate, for example? And I'm not saying this is a commentary on all red pill. Like, honestly, the vast majority is crap. It's like, and I might even be able to have criticisms of Andrew Tate, but he's like this, he's like this representation of all this, which I think is unfair, honestly, in some cases. But that's a bit of a nitpick, because they say, these monsters know they don't want any of this darkness, and they're willing to. A lot of the women like this commentary. They like hearing that, the truth, and it has to be the truth, but they do like hearing it. Some of them, because they know. And the thing that gets me too, it's like they wouldn't turn to Andrew Tate. They wouldn't turn to him, but there's something that's so clear to me they don't get, these guys. That Andrew Tate is in a sense, how do I put this? It's like a reversion to barbarism, in a sense. Andrew Tate is if it's not progress, like, I don't know exactly what it is. I can maybe admit that. But if it's not exactly progress, it's a reversion to tribalism, to a way men had to handle women before, in the before times. Before, I grew up in the time you grew up in, right? No wars, no famine, right? You could be homeless and fat. Everyone's equal, right? I grew up in that world. In the fantasy world. But Andrew Tate is a response, a reversion to a time of old, you understand? So don't be so quick to say, oh, Andrew Tate, you silly. It's a silly woman hater. You're just a silly woman hater. It's like, maybe you should pray and hope that we don't need such a return. Right, of a feudal king, of a tribal barbarian king, such as the likes of Andrew Tate, right? Where it's the cutthroat world. Because you and I grew up in a world where men made it safe, where there's no wars, and you're not having to deal with this cutthroat world, this cutthroat medieval, almost, I don't know, whatever, ruthless world. So you better hope that doesn't come back, in a sense. And that's what I get. That's the impression I get when I see these guys who are like so quick to say, these wife guys or whatever. It's like, I'm not against marriage, you understand? I'm not with this red pill world. I really think they hate women in a lot of cases. Even if they're right about women, they really do hate them. They don't have the love. And it's like, when I see this response, like, they don't have to turn to Andrew Tate. It's like, so this is what I have to look forward to, being one of these guys? And a shout out to, I really do like them. And Jordan Peterson too, but you can't miss the point here. The core principle of this emotional response and non-emotional response, and what is actually happening. Because he went on this diatribe about men's mental health and the malaise they have. Meanwhile, he's crying, right? He's crying and blubbering. That's like a show of instability of instability, Jordan Peterson. I have to say. Even if you're feeling those things, to devolve into a mess on camera is not a good sign. It's really, it hits at the core of what's wrong, of what these men want to overcome, and what they see that they like in the likes of Andrew Tate that you're so quick to criticize, right? And the criticisms are fair in there, but I really don't feel like most guys get it. Like when I nitpick on Andrew Tate and Red Pill, it's not what these guys are doing. When the women are out there nitpicking on Andrew Tate and Red Pill, that's not what I'm doing, right? Because they just want that beta male back. They just want that beta male back. They're like, yeah, these guys are so misogynistic these days. Like, they don't get it. They're like all into Red Pill. It's like, I want to tell to that girl, I want to say, yeah, these Red Pill guys, they don't have love for women, but you just want that beta male back. So I'm not with you. So, so if that's what I have to look forward to, it's like, give me Andrew Tate, right? Now you understand why the young guys are going for that. Again, the mistake is no love. They're gonna enter a world of hurt their own way because they have no love, hating women. Where if it's true, if they do, they're going to enter a world of hurt, hating anybody. But that's what they'll have to go through. But don't tell me that the answer is your answer of years. It has not worked. The women are the gods in the homes, and so anyways, I get it. He's emotional about the malaise that men are confronted with, but that malaise is this weakness I'm talking about. They got to overcome their mothers, their women, and blah blah blah. Right? Let's get to some calls. No more blubbering. No more tears, Jordan Peterson. No more tears for those men. The Bible says it's going to be like vast majority of people are lost, right? So there's no point in those tears. It's not helping anybody. You know, God ain't crying. God isn't crying out there, Jordan Peterson. He tried to tell us the vast majority of people are going to the wayside. They're going to be on that wide road to destruction. It's just how it be. So he's not crying. No more tears, Jordan Peterson. But he's right, about what he was saying. Yeah. Nobody wants to talk. Why aren't they dating? Why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they having normal relationships and lives like I used to have and we used to have? Because women hate men and they're out of control. They're literally out of control. So let's get to Derek out of Nashville, Tennessee. How you doing, sir? Appreciate your call. You're on the air.
All is well. Thanks for taking my call the other day and today.
Yeah.
I wanted to follow up on that. I called in about church and the gentleman that was saying he wants it, but he doesn't. And then,
right.
I'd asked you about what Jesse meant by change your thoughts. And then your commentary thereafter really hit home because I thought that too. You were saying, like, what if that's just it all the time, forever, just seeing that constantly? I forget exactly how you phrased it, but I'm pretty close. Am I not?
Yes, you are.
And,
essentially,
and
what if seeking the truth, seeking God, what people are waiting for the thoughts to go away and this feeling to go away, but yeah, what if we're constantly to see how evil we are, how the thoughts are there, until we don't, possibly. But what if that's what it is?
But right,
and simply we're simply feeling bad about the process.
And it the one thing you said is like, oh well, when is it going? When is it going to end? And I realized that wasn't my thought process, but I was getting caught up in still a thought, but am I doing it right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so when you said, well, maybe that's just it, period. And then I realized even calling in asking about, well, what did Jesse mean about change your thoughts? Well, I could have just had a wait and see attitude and not bothered you about it at all. But I just made this, I had a little note. I mean, if I'm putting what's right first and then I fail at that, the only bad thing in that equation is if I judge myself in that moment. Am I getting to me, it's like, oh, well, if that's just it forever, which is way better than anything that's ever happened in my whole life.
Right.
If I judge myself in that moment, that's the only real sin, if you will, is judging myself, right? Just seeing it and just like, oh, okay, that thing happened, and then I can just leave it alone and be done.
Because that's the only thing keeping you in the thought, the emotion, the process, whatever. That's the only thing keeping you there anyways.
That's the thought.
It's your judgment of it, right? Because it's like, put it like this.
Yeah.
Put it like this. You are tasked to learn how to carry this weight up a hill. And as you're doing it, you're like crying and whining about it. Or you're just going to walk up that hill and it's like, yeah, the first 10 miles, it's like I was tripping and walking funny. And then the next 10 miles, I'm like walking better. And it's like, you're slogging up that hill the whole time. That's not changing, but look, you are higher up the hill. And through walking it, you are here doing things. You are here going up the hill. It's like, then isn't that what you wanted to do in the first place?
Yeah, and that.
Like, do you? Like, I want to find God. I want to find God. Why? Because I'm anxious and I want to understand what's going on. Okay, and then here you are in the process, seeing the thoughts that are causing your anxiety, and then you want to go. Not you, Derek, but then one might want to go. But when is this going to end? When is this over? When am I going to find God? And it's like, wait a second. You were trying to find God to overcome the anxiety. You're seeing the thoughts that are bringing you anxiety. You are learning. You are seeing. Isn't this what you wanted? So I'm just rambling now, but what are you thinking about that?
No, well, and that's why I feel like it was a little it was a little goofy question to ask him. Like, well, what did he mean by that? Because
I thought it was a good question.
There are other areas in my life where things that would normally cause me all this grief and strife, how it's like things just start to change. It's like, oh, I just know how to handle this thing now. And things just, the stages of Jesse where people are like, oh, I'm going to call everybody and tell them about this and that. I'm like, no one, I'm like, I can't, this seems bizarre. It seems bizarre to me what's happening. It feels really weird what's happening. But the staying with it part, and I thought, honestly, when you said that after I called, I'm like, am I the only one that thinks this? I'm like,
no.
Well, maybe this is just it. Like, forget about perfect peace. Just stick with this thing. It's life.
But I don't want you to do that
better.
either. I don't want you to forget or not forget about perfect peace just because of something I said. I don't want you to do anything.
Oh, no.
I don't want you to now conclude there is or no perfect peace. I'm just putting out the thought. I'm putting out the question for those wondering, when is it going to come? When is peace coming? What is supposed to happen? What if we maintained, what if the whole process of, okay, Jesse told me to watch my thoughts. Let me do it this week. Wow, this week was a week of me seeing how much I didn't see, how much I'm into thoughts and I couldn't do it. What if that process, what if you were okay with that being the rest of your life? Wouldn't that be the attitude that you'd want to have? If you were God, if you were going to bestow peace upon someone, it'd be upon the person with that attitude, who's willing, who for them, that is home. I already found it. If this is the process, if watching my thoughts and it's continuously me seeing how evil I am, whatever, but I'm growing and all that, if that's what it is, I'm okay with it. Wouldn't peace be bestowed upon that one? On that one? On the one willing to wait?
Well, and I guess I'm doing a poor job. You articulate things better than I do. That's my point. Like, there's no need for me to think about perfect peace. Just do what's right, and things just sort of work themselves out.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
That's
man.
what I thought. Because when you said that when we got off the phone the other day, when you're like, well, what if this is just it? I'm like, oh, right. This is perfect. It's just fine. Like, everything's getting. It's really, honestly, this is why you can't. If I said this to anybody in my family, or they'd be like, "What are you talking about?" But it's just, that's enough just to.
That's enough,
that.
right?
And then think again. I think Jesse said, like, "Are you smoking pot right now?" I'm not. It is things start to change, and but when you said that after we got I thought that quite a bit. Well, maybe this is just it. Just always seeing it, and the only sin I have is when I overreact to anything.
Exactly.
If I judge it and just get any sort of emotion about anything at all, and it's real practical too. There are things where I just handle things differently, but I can't tell you why. I'm like, I'm just not going to overreact to this thing,
and that's all that matters.
Deal with it, and it goes away.
Because a dishonest person wouldn't see these things. Because that's what you're asking. That's what that person in church was basically asking. They want to know, even with your question, am I doing it right? You want to understand your sincerity if it's true, because you are admitting how evil the mind is, how evil the ego is. You know that in yourself.
Yes.
So you know that you have that
I am
capacity.
evil. Like,
that you
I
have
am evil.
right. You have the capacity to be insincere, even with something so deep like wanting to be with God and overcoming. Yes, I repent. Yeah. Guess what? We can lie about that. So I understand where that's coming from, but you got to understand
and that
also.
Gets you nowhere. It gets you nowhere when you do that. I did that so much, and I'm trying to be somebody and pretend to be something other, and
right.
It gets.
But like that person at church who was like, "But Jesse, you told me to watch myself all week and not be into the world, but all week I'm just seeing myself be into the world."
Yeah.
A dishonest person doesn't think like that. You understand? And I'm not saying you're perfect, but I'm just saying that that's a good sign. That's like on the good direction. To that person who was saying that, what if that is working on yourself? Continuously seeing that. And it's just your ego and your immaturity that wants you to say, am I seeing it right? Am I seeing it right? When am I going to know this? When am I going to feel like I'm seeing it right? That is the process right there. You are seeing how all week you are into the world when before you couldn't. Isn't that beautiful?
It's so, and it's hard to describe. Just like as a side, there's this woman that I have to deal with on occasion who can be an irritant professionally, and I had to deal with her recently, and I had this little pang of like, oh, and I go, wait a minute, and I just knew in that moment, like, she can't help herself. It's not her fault. Right. And then just knowing, I'm like, oh, she can't help it. I go, why are you getting upset, Derek?
Yeah.
And then and then I just dealt with it, and the whole thing went away. But I can remember when I was just checked out all the time, this thing would have dragged on and on and on. And it's not her fault. It has nothing to do with her or me. And it was just really bizarre in a good way. And like, maybe that's it. Maybe that's all. That's just it. That's all I need to do.
That's literally the essence of changing your thoughts, I think. You'll have to ask Jesse again. Whatever, don't worry about that point. That was a side note. Let me stay what I was telling you. It is the essence of changing your thoughts. You're not changing the words of the thoughts, but just changing your reaction to them and your thoughts about them. You're not changing the words to the very words to the thoughts telling you, I'm mad at this person. Let me change them and say, I love this person. I'm happy with this person. No, it's just simply your reaction to those thoughts. Without any need to change the words to them.
Yeah. I think you said it's already laid out for me anyway. So what am I going to do about it? Right. Like, just give up, and not in a bad way. But you know what I mean? Just give up. And it's like a big deep breath. I don't know. But what you said when we got off the phone the other day made a big difference. I thought I was the only one that thought that. Like, what if this is just it? Maybe if just. So anyway, I appreciate your time.
It's about what you're seeing, right? And if you're being honest.
Well, I'm really grateful for all you guys and your good advice and point me in the right direction. So thank you so much.
No problem, Derek. Call me again. I appreciate the calls.
I will. Bye-bye.
888-775-3773. Amazing. So what else about this? Yeah, I think he was, from a previous conversation there, Derek. 888-775-3773 in the last few minutes of the show. What else do I have for you? Honestly, I have a bunch of random stuff here, too. I was looking at an image on the internet the other day. And, some are saying it's a powerful image. Andrea on X, posting on X, writes, my boyfriend told me that he can't talk because he needs to work. And then he started playing ethnicity guesser. She also posts a picture of said boyfriend in the middle of his work. And I felt a kinship to this individual. I felt a sort of kinship to this man here, individual. Hard at work in the darkness of his room. A girlfriend there waiting for him, but he just stays up, undistracted, locked in on his purpose. Just undistracted and just locked in, unbothered in his lane. And I felt an inspiration and a strength comes from this image that I thought maybe some of you might find an outer, although you shouldn't seek such outer motivation. But, some of you guys, y'all ain't getting no inner motivation. No, I'm sure that's a terrible thing to say. Y'all ain't never getting no inner motivation. It's over. So here's some outer motivation. This young man here may be able to, inspire you. Hold up, is that knit? Some are asking, hold up, is that knit? This guy's working hard. Ethno guesser. I should stop myself right now before I go. I was just looking at these anthropological traits. Is this the episode where we talk about steatopygia? Let's just move on. I'm not ready. I'm not ready for this. There's a better way to do this. We'll come back to that. But did you see this? In the last few minutes of the show, I am the weapon. Wrong. They're saying a protest was going wrong, and it really devolved. You see this woman deciding to take the mic. Now, again, I'm not even sure why they're even here.
Protests gone wrong.
But this woman decided, I'm taking the mic. It says save democracy in the back. You see what it looks like Ukraine symbolism. So I don't know if this is she's a based anti-protest, anti-Ukraine, like MAGA lady. I don't know if this is very based though. I don't know. No MAGA lady should be acting like this personally. Or is this a Democrat? I don't know what we're looking at, folks. I don't know. This is a strange, brand new world we're living in. I don't know what we're looking at. But she does not look happy, I'll tell you that. She does not look happy. She seems to be demanding something right now. Or she says something about, I die. It may sound like she's saying die. She may be out of her mind. She's pointing to someone in the crowd, in from the right, outside of the camera's view. Comes in another individual. Is this her woman's husband? I don't know who this man is, but she's pointed at him and she's not happy. She seems to be telling him, you better not come this way. He's walking right up to her. His shirt reads, I am the weapon. Oh my gosh. He put hands on her. They're telling him to calm down. The purveyors of this event are walking up, trying to maintain the peace, split them up. This guy over here did not expect that was going to happen. This guy runs up. That's enough, buddy. That was wrong. That was wrong, she says. This lady's about to swear. I'm going to try and catch it before she says it. That was really effed up. Oh, no, she said it.
Going to be dealt with, and this person's going to be okay, and we're all here.
That was really messed up, she says. That was really effed up. And I have to assume she's talking about the man. The man, the weapon, the absolute weapon who walked up and slapped her, like put hands on her. Like, am I wrong in thinking that these people were married? Was I wrong in thinking like these people were? I'm feeling like these people were married. You know what I'm saying? But this instant reaction to, hey, this guy, that was, what was really effed up about this whole situation? It was this guy, And maybe it was kind of effed up because it's like a stranger, I don't advocate putting hands on women and all that, I'm not one of these guys who says, never hit a woman, that's for sure. There was that woman on the JLP show earlier. She didn't necessarily even put hands on that guy, but she got up in his face. And you're telling me if I was in that situation, I'm the one that has to move away? I'm pushing her. And I think I'd be in every right to. But yeah, so is it effed up? Maybe. But I got to say, the instant knee-jerk reaction of like, that was really effed up. Like, I have to nitpick a little bit. Like, that's coming that's not coming from just this situation. That's like a cultural, spiritual thing. It's like embedded. Okay? Like, you're just not allowed to put your hands on a woman. But look at how crazy she's acting. If it wasn't a slap, a man, I think in this situation is totally justified. Yeah, think about security guards. Think about police. I think a man is totally justified in putting hands on this woman and not necessarily slapping, but like, move along. You're not supposed to be here. You're disrupting the whole situation, especially an individual as big as you got to have a big individual to deal with Big Bertha over here, who's yelling. She's got that look. She's just obstinate, like she has experience yelling at men like this, And so I don't advocate all this. I disavow, okay? I don't get a pleasure or thrill from it. But I have to nitpick on all the spirits I'm seeing here. Oh, this is really effed up. Like, there's a lot of effed up things happening, and they happened well before the slap, miss. Oh, one more time. I am the weapon. All right, folks. That's pretty much the show. He stepped up. She's in love now. Lord Spike Protein may understand women more than anybody. She's in love now. Shout out Lord Spike Protein. How you doing, sir? All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed today's show. That's pretty much it from me. Derek with the big coffee. You can support me. buymeacoffee.com/anchorbaby if you don't want a Rumble rant or super chat. Always you can support. But what can I say? I had fun with today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. Let's do one last check of the super chats for all of our lovely viewers and ballers. That's it, folks. That's the show. The calls, the super chats, the topics. I believe we done squeezed every drop out of that show. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow for Bible Thumper Thursday on the Jesse Lee Peterson Show. The rest of the network. And, of course, more Anchor Baby. You know what I got to? Wait, hold on. Do I have time for this? Austin, you honestly have 60 seconds, man, because we got to set up for something here. Since you're a first-time caller, I wanted to just say hi to you, man.
How you doing?
Austin, a pleasure, man. Quick, you got some seconds here.
Can you just tell me what the show's about?
You want to know what my show is about? How'd you hear about it?
I listen to Jesse and I listen to Hank.
Nice, man. Well, thanks for tuning in. Catch me tomorrow. I'm so out of time, but I basically handle culture topics and a number of different things from my perspective, man. But
the
Austin,
culture.
Thanks for tuning in, though, and calling. I appreciate that. Let's do this tomorrow, maybe. Take care, Austin.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Hey, okay. Well, check me out, Austin. Take care, guys. Peace. We got cool things happening in the studio. We must vacate. And with that, truly this time, it's goodbye. Take care. See you tomorrow. Oh, Lil Nick, too. He's got to say bye, too. Bye.